Independents are in the exploration and production side of the business. These companies don't own refineries. They don't own gasoline stations. Independents actually supply 82% of the natural gas in this country and 68% of the oil. They're out there getting it done. They're small businesses providing thousands of good-paying jobs to America. They are America's oil and gas producer. We are part of the solution, and we've been working aggressively to educate key administrative officials and policy leaders about the importance of a sound national energy policy that will encourage the responsible development of American oil and natural gas, spurring growth and investment here at home. Oil and natural gas play a critical role in powering the American economy by creating jobs and creating revenue, strengthening national security, creating a cleaner environment, greatly reducing our dependence on foreign sources of energy, and stabilizing energy costs for consumers, and in fact making us more competitive in the world. Under the current administration and Congress, oil and gas producers have been targeted with a barrage of policy proposals that threaten the viability of the industry and the very jobs we create. We believe that it is important. It's important to diversify our energy supply, and we promote the responsible development of all forms of American energy, including oil and natural gas, solar, wind, nuclear, clean coal, biofuels, and the like. We think we need it all. However, in light of the recent Macondo well incident in the Gulf, the efforts to penalize the oil and natural gas industry have grown rampant in Washington, unlike anything we've seen in decades. In fact, unlike anything that I've seen in my lifetime. The industry continues to focus on offshore policy, renewed calls for energy taxes. Regulatory issues can be overwhelming. Increased oversight of regulation in the financial markets. Access to America's resources and increased cost for production. The oil and gas industry is part of the solution, and we can't let Washington make us part of the problem. One of the biggest ongoing threats is the call for tax hikes on American oil and natural gas producers. The increased taxes on our industry began actually during the first full month of President Obama's administration. The most recent administration proposal, designed to create jobs, calls for a $50 billion tax increase to fund infrastructure projects. While this might sound good on the surface as a jobs creator, this proposal is really a jobs killer and would actually reduce investment in new U.S. production by 20 to 40%. At the same time, it would drive down U.S. oil production by 20% and by 12%. Reduced investment would potentially kill thousands of jobs, and reduced production would increase our dependence on foreign energy resources. Both bad outcomes for this country. A recent study by LSU economists just came out a few weeks ago showed that this particular policy proposal would actually cost 154,000 jobs through the end of next year, along with a loss of $341 billion in lost economic output and $68 billion in lost wages. This is a policy designed to create jobs that kills jobs. In addition to tax proposals, the administration imposed a 6-month deepwater moratorium in the Gulf of Mexico in response to the tragic Macondo well incident. This was a tragic accident, and a timeout for safety certainly was needed, but that's been taken. We're ready to get back to work. Well, the administration we are part of the solution. Let's not allow ourselves to be part of the problem. While the administration has said that the moratorium in shallow water has been lifted, there is still a de facto moratorium because permits aren't being issued. A recent study that just came out 2 days ago by SMU's Cox School of Business actually showed that 40,000 jobs are threatened by this slowdown in permitting. Independent oil and gas producers operating in the Gulf of Mexico actually accounted for $38 billion in economic benefits, more than 200,000 jobs in 2009 and $10 billion to the federal coffers. You know, oil and gas revenues are the second largest source of revenue into the U.S. Treasury behind income taxes. Finally, a study was commissioned by the National Association of Regulatory Commissioners earlier this year that determined that the economy will lose $2.4 trillion, that's T with a trillion, over the next 2 decades if federal policies continue to keep billions of barrels of oil and trillions of cubic feet of natural gas off limits. In addition to that, we would actually fork over another $604 billion to OPEC countries because we would have to import it from them instead of produce it ourselves. These numbers are stifling, especially during a time when the top priorities of the administration and Congress should be job creation, future energy supply, and strengthen national security. America's oil and gas industry is part of the solution. We can help. Let's not let Washington make us part of the problem. In summary, who stands to benefit from responsible energy development? Well, all of us do. You do, I do, our families, our friends, our communities. All Americans' lives are touched from day to day by energy. We must work together to make sure that our elected officials recognize that America's oil and gas industry is a significant contributor to the American economy, an important part of our national security, and equally our very American way of life. Be part of the national energy debate. Promote homegrown resources. America's independent producers create jobs, they create revenue, they strengthen our national security, they create a cleaner environment, greatly reduce our dependence on foreign sources of energy, and provide stable, affordable, reliable energy to consumers across the nation. Like the earlier story that I began with the professor testing his graduating students, we are being tested on our goals as well. Do we want to take the test with the easiest questions, or do we want to take the test with the hardest questions? And really extend our goals for the sake of our children and the sake of our grandchildren and the sake of our communities. What are our goals for the future? Well, I believe the choice for America, our families, our friends, our neighbors, is in our hands. Our goals are reflected in our attitudes and our opinions and our beliefs and our desires, and it is these things foremost that should drive our government policy. America was founded on the principle of government by the people, for the people. Well, we are the people, and each of us could make a difference, and we can do this by projecting our goals and our attitudes, our opinions, our beliefs, and our desires. Thank you for being here. Thank you for wanting to make a difference. America's oil and gas industry is part of the solution. Let's not let Washington make it part of the problem. Thank you.